It's time to talk about the true horror of the Headless Horseman. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, and welcome to my Halloween magic video. Originally, I had been considering doing something on Emrakul, but I wanted to find something that was a little more interesting to me. So I started to dive backwards and look at some older magic cards. Now clearly, the card that screams Halloween is All Hallows Eve, but that one's just too on the nose. Everybody talks about that one. I don't ever want to do a Halloween video on that one. I want to talk about the Headless Horseman from Legends. So we'll look at the card first. 1 black, 2 colorless for a 2/2. The flavor text is: the ghost rides forth to the scene of battle in nightly quest of his head. He sometimes passes along the hollow like a midnight blast. And that quote is from Washington Irving, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Now, some of you are going to be familiar with this, Sleepy Hollow being a movie and things like that. The Legend of the Headless Horseman. That's the most well-known version of the Headless Horseman, at least for North American individuals. But there's actually a number of different variations of Headless Horseman from different folklore. Now, for the American folklore, it's attributed to basically the idea of an artilleryman who was killed. He was decapitated by an American cannonball, and the shattered remains of his head were left on the battlefield while his comrades carried his body away. So he wasn't even a horseman really in this case. But other folklores do actually have these being headless horsemen. I like the Irish one personally. The Irish folklore is pretty crazy. They're called Doolahans, and it's a headless demonic fairy, usually riding a horse and carrying his head under his inner lower thigh, or holding it high to see at a great distance. He wields a whip made from a human spine, and when the Doolahan stops riding, a death occurs. The Doolahan calls out a name, at which point the named person immediately dies. In another version, he's the headless driver of a black carriage, and a similar figure, the Ganseen, known as without a head, can be frightened away by wearing a gold object or putting one in its path. It's interesting. German folklore has tales. One actually involves a woman going out to gather acorns in the forest. She hears a hunting horn. The second time she hears it, she turns around and sees a headless man in a long gray coat sitting on a gray horse. And I'll admit, that actually made me think of somebody like actually old school pranks. Like, what if they just got really stiff-necked coats and a high collar and went out riding to like scare locals and things like that. So I could see how that kind of a myth would be kind of carried along. It's interesting that in different folklores, it works differently. Like in India, for example, the Headless Horseman's actually portrayed as a heroic figure. They're said these Headless Horsemen are said to be born out of violent and wrongful deaths that occur in protecting innocence. So basically, Headless Horsemen are people who were struck down while trying to protect the innocent. So that's cool. I love the variation, but that's not the horror that I really want to talk about. I mean, obviously, the idea of a headless horseman barreling down on you, that concept, I've seen it in a number of different things, and it's pretty spooky. I've seen it represented with his head, and I've seen it represented with like a pumpkin for a head. The pumpkin for a head is a little less spooky, but either way, the idea of a headless horseman is inherently frightening because humans are face-seeking creatures. We actively look for faces. You're going to be looking for a head. It's like, okay, it has no eyes, it has no mouth. How do you reason with something like that? How do you deal with an apparition of this nature? Nothing should be alive without a head, right? That's why the whole chicken running around with their heads cut off is such a crazy situation. So it really speaks to just something deep and like guttural kind of horror, really. But what I want to talk about is the horror of how wasted the Headless Horseman was in this set in Legends. If we take a look at the actual card, the concept behind it's really cool, as we've just stated. There are a number of different folklores that you can look at and twist this into whatever version you want. Now, clearly, this is on a black card. He's on a black charger, and that's going to kind of indicate this is like an evil version. We're not looking at the good Indian version here, right? And that makes sense. I mean, we're dealing with North American stuff here. So the artwork itself is absolutely lovely. Like Quentin Hoover is such a skilled artist. He has this way of doing line work where he does like the outer lines in like thick black, and it just looks absolutely amazing. This Headless Horseman looks really imposing, and look at the clothing that he's wearing. Like, this is a Headless Horseman, and let's compare this to other vanilla creatures of the time. You've got an exact parallel would be Scathe Zombies, because he's identical to Scathe Zombies aside from creature type. 1 black and 2 colors for a 2/2, and that's the Scathe Zombies. And that's like just some zombies, okay, whatever, right? And then you have, in the same set as Legends, you have Barbary Apes, a green and a colorless, get you some like kind of tribal apes that have figured out how to make little like skull necklaces and stuff. Honestly, they kind of feel like a half black creature the way they're looking. But anyways, you've got Barbary Apes, which are just regular old apes. Then you've got Raging Bull from Legends as well. 1 red, 2 colors, 2/2. Sometimes the bulls win, sometimes the bears win, but the bulls have more fun. Anonymous. Okay, so this bull and a Headless Horseman, literally a headless apparition. Just this crazy ghost or spirit, however you want to look at it, a dual hand, whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, it's just the same as a bull. Oh, it's just the same as a couple of apes. Get out of here. That's such brutalization of the flavor of the Headless Horseman. I mean, look at him. He's dressed way better than me. The guy doesn't even have a head, and he dresses better than me. I don't stand a chance against this guy. And he even knows to like go up and be on like a rocky outcropping to stand there all imposing, rearing up against the moon. Give me a break. This has literally no abilities. They gave Desert Nomads an ability. They have Desert Walk. The Desert Nomads are garbage 3 mana for a 2/2. Onulet doesn't even require colored mana. It's just 3 colorless. And it gives you a benefit. Why did they squander such an awesome concept on such a garbage vanilla card? That's so incredibly disappointing to me. Because the card screams like dark flavor. This is something that could have been a legendary creature. That, like, the Headless Horseman, not a Headless Horseman. When you look at it, it doesn't feel like something you would see an army riding down at you. Like, you wouldn't see an army of these coming at you, although that would be pretty impressive. It feels singularly unique, and it's just been wasted by being turned into this vanilla, bland, the same as everyday, mundane animals we find on Earth, like bulls and apes. And yes, granted, bulls and apes are strong, but we're talking about a Headless Horseman spirit. So to me, this is an incredibly Halloweenish feeling card. I also enjoyed the fact that the different folklores verged off in different ways, but there's obviously some similarities as well. And the concept to me of the Headless Horseman has always been terrifying. There's no way to reason with something that has no ability to reason back. They can't hear you, can't hear your cries, it can't do anything other than destroy you. So, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and we're going to go ahead and check in with the 6th color of Magic.
Hey everybody, Heady1 here, and today we are opening a pack of Conspiracy Take the Crown. See what we got in here. Alright. We got a Fleeting Distraction, Tormenting Voice, Fester Gloom, Mnemonic Wall, Leovold's Operative, Custody Peacekeeper, Entourage of Trest, Palace Sentinels, Garbage Fire, Prey Upon, and our uncommons are Besmirch, Fang of the Pack, Spy Kit, and our rare is 100-Handed One. And our conspiracy is a Hired Heist. Spirit token. Alright, thanks for watching, happy Halloween, and remember, together, we are the 6th color of Magic.
If you have not already, head on over and check out my other channel. We're creeping ever closer to that 1,000 subscribers over there to unlock those features, boys. We got less than 50 to go. So come on over and help a brother out. Speaking of help, let us roll the Golden Scroll. The Golden Lords who are helping me out on Patreon. And we are welcoming some new members. Tayson, Savarn, you are not all talk. Indeed, you have done what you said you were going to do and joined up. And you are joined by Oni, Genji. Welcome aboard, boys. You will see your name at the end of the Golden Scroll. And my friends, all of you, thank you for coming by and hanging out with me. Now, what would you like? Do you want to come on over, check out my other channel, see all the fun and nonsense that's going on over here? I'll be streaming over here today. Or you want to keep hanging out over here and do some more magic? I got some lore for you right here, baby. Hail to the king, baby!